Hello there, this is Kevin Stewart, Builds 250. I'm Kev, and this is stage number 8 from magazine issue number 4 of Build the Ghostbusters Ecto-1. Okay, so we're into stage 8. Now stage 8's just really adding more details onto the engine, some of the engine parts. Got things like the starter motor, fuel pump, spark plugs, those type of things that are going to be going into the engine, adding to the detail on that part. And yeah, I think I mentioned on the last video that I've seen some of the things that people have been doing and they're awesome. Online, people have been modding their engines, painting them up a bit, putting a bit of detail into them. Kind of inspired me to have a go. So we're going to have a look at some of the parts that you see I've already painted. But hey, you know, hopefully it'll add to it and make it look, you know, individual, unique. Anything you want to do to this, you know, it's your model, so crack on. But yeah, so we're going to get in and we're going to have a look at the parts for stage 8. Okay, so parts laid out for stage number 8. I've just kind of laid them out exactly how it kind of shows in the inventory that you get in the magazine, just to check they're all there. I did that initially. But now, as you can see, I've done some of the modifications. I've painted like the bolts for the cylinder head, I think this is the starter motor. Just painted that kind of silver, and then some of the spark plugs, which a lot of people have done, to be honest with you. It's quite an easy kind of mod, but it kind of has a good effect, because obviously spark plug, these come black. Spark plugs normally white, so painted them up, and the dipsticks, kind of just done them black on the end. But yeah, you can do what you want really. The ignition coil, yeah, I've done that kind of a red. I'll be giving that another coat, I think. Yeah, I'll be giving that another coat of paint. Quite dry anyway. So yeah, done some, just got the paints out really. But yeah, okay, so that's the parts for stage 8. Okay, yeah, and looking at the magazine, I looked at this obviously in the last stage 7, because it gets one magazine for 4 stages. So just having a look at the parts, parts inventory for stage 8, I've been through that. And then, okay, just have a look at, and then obviously the instructions for the stage 8, which is going to be the right engine block, just fitting that up and fitting some more parts to the engine. So that's kind of it for the parts and the magazine for stage 8. So now we'll just get straight into the build. We need the cylinder head and the manifold from stage 7. Got the manifold there. And we need the wiring support as well. And we're going to need the cylinder head cover and some AP and BP screws. Okay, so first thing is to insert the manifold cylinder head, and then affix that with 3 AP screws from underneath. So that's the manifold in. And then balancing the wiring junction, there's a gap, there's a cut out there, cylinder head that it just needs to kind of balance on until you put the cylinder head, because then the cylinder head's going to actually hold it in place. And then fixed in place with 4 BP screws. With a little bit of a good practice not to tighten the first screw up. Leave that, because then you get a little bit of movement. Kind of put the screws in loose to start with, and as soon as you've got all 4 in, or however many you fit in, then you can go around and tighten them all up. If you tighten the first one up, it kind of holds it in place and you haven't got any movement on the part. Okay, cylinder head done. With the junction, the wiring junction there. I guess it's going to hold some of the HT leads. Okay, that's the first part done. So now we're into fitting the cylinder head and engine block. So we've got the engine block once again from the last issue. And now we've got the cylinder head. I'm going to be fitting that together using 2 AP screws. Around. Make sure you got the right way around. 2 AP screws going on. Securing this cylinder head to the cylinder head. And to screw the cylinder head to the engine block. Plastic screws don't have to go in too tight. So that's the right hand engine block done. Okay, so now we're going to fit that to the engine itself. So we'll bring over the engine, it's going from the last couple of issues. Fix that in with some DM screws, so these are going to be going into metal. We'll see how we get on with these. I have purchased a kind of, saw in the last issue, a slightly heftier screwdriver. It's not that easy to do, to be fair, to get that into place. But once it's in, okay, DM screws. I need DM screws. I've got 2 DM screws. We go into these hands here, I guess. Oh, that's. Moving that, putting that in place has made the transmission really loose now. I don't like looseness. Take this off and tighten up the transmission again now. So that's the second time I put that on, because as I did, putting it on wasn't that easy. It kind of, it's a bit, need to get in. The transmission is kind of loose, but it's not that bad. And I think once everything's on, that's going to hold, you know, when it's mounted in the car. Okay, so yeah, eventually that's on. Move it too much, but the right hand side and left side of the engine is now on. Okay, so assembling the fuel pump and filter. I think the fuel pump 8D, so what does the fuel pump look like? Going back to my parts list. Okay, so first things first, get the fuel pump, 8D, the fuel pump bracket. I'm just making sure I get those the right way around. Okay, yeah, there is. Oh, there is, yeah. As always, you get the little peg. It goes into, so you get like an aligning. And that gets attached with an AP screw. Bit of an angle. Just trying to. It means it sits flush. Okay, so it's a bit better. Sits flush. And then you're going to be fitting this fuel filter cap on the top part of the fuel filter. So I've got the fuel filter, that part, and you're going to fit that in there now. We have got, obviously, keyways, and inside there, they're quite difficult to see, but there is a key slot in there, so you've got keyway, key slot. So match those up and push it together. And then fitting that together onto the underside, so you've got the thing, your fuel pump, turn that upside down, and then the fuel filter itself fits into the slot. Put that way around, and that goes that way around. And that's going to fit with an FP screw. Longer of the screws. Holding that way around. That's going to go through there, and then obviously it's going to. So you now got your fuel pump connected to the fuel filter. Okay. And that fits onto the top of the engine using it does BP, is it? BP screw. So the fuel filter and the fuel pump housing. You've got a small part, what do they call it? Fuel pump cover. So you get the small. You do get actually a set of tweezers with this issue, because some of these parts are quite small. It might be handy just to use the tweezers. Fuel pump cover. I'm going to go on and kind of sit on there. So you got, in fact, put the fuel pump onto the engine first. Once again, you have keyway. You've got to match up. And then the fuel pump cover. It's also got a keyway on it. Put something there onto the keyway. And that's all secured down with a BP screw. Fuel pump, fuel filter. Just get this a little bit loose, so I'll try and tighten that up just a little bit. So get that right loose. Okay. Okay, so now we've got this part, which is it calls it the ignition coil. Now I've already attached that part because I have painted this kind of reddish colour. Now I'm going to paint it again. I'm going to put another coat onto there. I will fit it, but then I'll probably take it off because I need to put another coat of paint onto this anyway. And you're also fitting the ignition coil plug. So you're going to be driving the ignition coil plug into the ignition coil. Ignition coil with the ignition coil plug, and then that gets fitted onto the front of the engine, just there. And then it goes facing towards the outside of the engine. And it's fixed in place with a BP screw. Ignition coil fitted. Okay, now it says locate spark plugs and insert one into each of the 4 holes in the right hand cylinder head just above the exhaust manifold. Okay, on the other side of the engine, put 4 more spark plugs into corresponding hole. Push the vacuum advance. Okay, so we're just going to do these spark plugs to start with. So yeah, so I have modified these just by painting. So silver kind of spark plug top and bolt, and then just a white body. And then yeah, it's just a case of pushing these in using your hands. That transmission's doing my own. May glue that on. So yeah, so as I say, I've had to super glue the transmission to the engine mount, to the engine block. Just wasn't, it was so loose that it was just hopping around. Even the screw was just turning again as well. So it's quite a heavy part really to be held on by just kind of one screw. And there's sump as well. I had to super glue the sump on. So yeah, So you can see now that completed. That with the modified kind of painted spark plugs, etc. Okay, so as I say, yeah, so the next part it says is push the vacuum advance unit, this part, to the distributor cap. So there's this protrusion on the distributor cap that needs to get pushed onto. So I'm going to push that on and it started, I guess. And then we're going to be putting the dipstick in. Our dipstick has to go, obviously, outside of the engine. And I've actually painted just the top of the dipstick. So that's in. And now it's all these tiny, I call them distributor cap plugs. There's 9 of them. I'm just going to be fitting into the distributor cap on the top here. Just going to be fitting them into the distributor cap. Obviously you do get a set of tweezers, as I said earlier with this. I have got my own, so I'm just going to be fitting them into the distributor cap. Following kind of the orientation that it shows. Good. And finally we're going to be putting the last one into the middle now. Doing these, I've noticed obviously they've got a smaller pin and a long pin. Obviously the long pin is what's going to have the HT leads in, so it's the short pin that you want going into the distributor cap. Last one didn't go in very well. Well, it went in okay in the end, but it was not easy to get in for some reason. Okay, now the next thing, or the last thing for this part, is you've got to affix what it calls the wire. It's going to be the main HT lead, isn't it? Going from the ignition coil plug to the distributor cap. It's quite long that. That's quite long and it's got a hell of a curve on it. I'm going to cut that down. I think, oh, can I just push that into that a little bit further? It's too long, to be honest with you. I'm going to cut that down because you get too much there and I don't want that much. And I want it to be bent around about there. Not much to go in. Looks a bit better, so as I say, yeah. So yeah, I ended up cutting quite a bit off that. Get it so it would just look, the curve looked far too much. The curve, but now it's too good. Okay. Right, fitting the starter motor now. So last thing, bring the engine back over. Starter motor is going to be going into that area there. Kind of unsure what's going on here. I'm telling you to use a BM screw, but there's no way a BM screw is long enough. Okay, right, okay, yeah, it doesn't go, yeah, okay, yeah, I got it. So there's actually 2 kind of places I was putting it too far out. Will actually fit there. So, as you can see, it's quite difficult to see, but it's 2 places, so that, I thought that the screw was going to be going into that part there, so it's going to be sitting there. Okay. And the BM screw would go into that, It doesn't actually sit a lot further over. There's actually, yeah, there's actually a little recess where that sits over there. Let's see that, it's quite difficult though. It actually, the start motor bracket, if you like, goes over that, not that first, not that second one. Okay. Another M screw that was a bit of a nuisance to go in. Better got in. Okay. And then it says the drive pinion goes in. And the drive pinion is this part here. Okay, it has got a flat. It has got a flat that matches up obviously to a flat in the starter motor, and then that's going to be secured with an AP screw. And finally the drive solenoid is going to go on using a BP screw. Starter motor solenoid. Very small part. Okay. But yeah, looking good. What's the detail on this engine? Let's go finish off some of the modifications, some of the colourings I'm doing, some of the painting I'm doing. So I'll do that and I'll update on the next video. Okay, so stage 8 completed. Not the easiest stage, but done quite fiddly in places. Getting the, to be honest with you, the hardest thing I had there was getting the right hand cylinder cylinder block heads, if you want to call them, onto the actual main engine, because the transmission was never very secure to the engine block anyway. So kind of forcing that in made the transmission really far too loose. So I ended up having to glue that in, super glued that in, because I just couldn't tighten that up sufficiently. There was a bit of movement on there. I don't like that. I want to have it kind of secure. And also the sump, the main engine sump was kind of not as secure as I'd like it either. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're having those kind of issues, if you're having trouble getting everything tight. I mean, it'll go on, it'll be okay, it'll be on, but it's just getting it all kind of tightened up so it's not loose. I just don't like the idea of that transmission being loose on the engine block, or the sump underneath being loose. And as I say, I don't know if that's just me or if everybody else is kind of having those kind of issues with the getting it tight. Anyway, yeah, so it was very detailed now. Looks pretty special, you know, with all the detailing. I've done obviously a little bit of painting on it. I've painted the spark plugs, the dipstick, the ignition coil, and some of the bolts. I'm probably going to go over those again. So I'm going to go over definitely the ignition coil again. I'm probably going to do that, another coat of red paint on that. And hopefully modify it, and obviously the starter motor with the silver after doing another coat of paint on that. But yeah, it's looking good. So hey, yeah, so what we got coming up? Well, I got stage 9 and 10 obviously for this build. Probably going to be looking at doing them probably next weekend, getting them up, yeah, around about next weekend, probably early into next week. I've got Ferrari. I've still got issue 8 of Ferrari to be doing, which is also a fiddly one. And I've got there's another Spitfire out on Wednesday, part issue 4 of Spitfire. So I'm looking at getting them done. If you'd like to see any of those builds, please consider subscribing. If you want to be notified anytime that a video goes live, please remember to click the bell. But hey, thanks for watching. Take care. Hope to see you next time on the channel, and ta-da for now. Bye.